Hey, yo, what's up? This is Cycle Marshall Occurrence. Rain back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-America all day. Yeah, so this message is basically going to be you don't have a pass to play with someone that's black because you're black yourself. See, this needed to be addressed because in this day and time, uh, I don't know if it's thug life, gangsterisms, if you will, street life, but it's black people that think they own other black people. Now we already done been through slavery. you know, with a white man already, when he halfway thought he owned us, and then now you got black people halfway think they own us. Come on now, that's a 7 hour. You already had black white men owning us. Now you got black people that think they own us. I'm my own man. I'll be the first to say that. I'm my own man. Looking at the state of your country, I definitely am my own man. And if you don't know what that means, then you need to go study what that means. I'm my own man. At the end of the day, I'm taking care of self. At the end of the day, I'm taking care of me. But it needs to be said because, you know, people think that they have a pass to play with you because they're black and you're black. No one has a pass to play with me because they black. Listen, we're not one big family. And that's something we need. We would like to be one big family, but we have to first be one big family. We've never been one big family. Okay? You've had people, you have had leadership over black people. You've had leadership over black people, but we've never been one big family. That's a 7 hour. Okay, when we been one big family? When have we been one unit? Ever? Never, right? It's never happened. So then how can you actually let people come and act like they know you or have a past to play with you? Now you see what I'm saying. We ain't never been no family. We ain't never been no family unit. And even in family, sometimes you gotta let family go. Even in concerning biological family, let alone people that are not biological family that you don't know. So I only speak for me in this situation. Nobody who's black have a pass to play with me. I want the same respect that you get a white man. I want the same respect that you get an Asian man. I want the same respect you get an Indian man. When you see him, you don't know him. When you see that when black people see an Indian man from India, you act as if you don't know him because that's the facts. And guess what? It's more respect that way. It's more respect that way. It's more respect that way. Because what happens, what I learned is when people think that you are familiar with them and they know you, then they start disrespecting you. They don't take it as a way to be more respectful or to be or personalized respect towards you. They take that as a way to be actually disrespectful. So the more when someone acts as if they know you because y'all both black, they start disrespecting you more times than not. More times than not. So the bottom line is for me, what I'm definitely trying to say is no one has a pass to play with me or know me or investigate me or act like you coming to see who I am because you black and I'm black. I'm gonna look at you as a complete stranger playing with my life, and that's how I'm gonna handle it. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we're not all some family. Where's that at? Where's the real family dynamics? We can't even get nothing together in the community. So what that means to me is you have people that have to start from scratch because it's never been respect. It's never been a family unit. We don't know who's the leaders. We don't know who's really in charge. We don't know who really has the potential to lead, and none of that really. All we know is no one's doing it really. All we know is there's no real signs of being some type of family unit. So then we need to stop acting like that then and start respecting people on an individual basis. Respect me on an individual basis. When you see me coming to a store and you know that little familiar thing, that gotta go. Because that's, like I said, people take that familiar thing where they feel like they know you, they take that to disrespect you, right? For example, you walk into a store. You in the hood. I'm just taking to where I'm from. I'm in the hood of the South somewhere. You walk into a corner store, not a bodega. We don't call that a bodega. We call it a corner store. You walk into a corner store, okay? You walk into a corner store. You go in. Boom. You got 2-3 people hanging out. They can hang out. The corner store man, clerk, or owner doesn't mind them hanging out, right? So they standing around hanging out. So you come in, and boom. Already they looking at you up and down. Now they don't know you. They don't know you. They look you up and down. Let's just say you're a little bit older where you ain't even in the dope game. Ain't no reason for them to feel like you sell drugs. So, cause some people say, well, the street life started that. Well, then explain why everybody doing it then. Explain why everybody's familiar with you, like they know you and you're a complete stranger. See, we got to do this. Has to happen so we can restore complete respect. This has to happen so we can restore respect, right? So a guy that's fairly older that looks like he's out the dope game come in. He gets looked up and down by black people, right? And then he say something to the clerk, but they think he talking to them. The guys that's been looking him up and down since he came in there think he talking to them. And they all over it. He say one thing. Oh, what you say? What you say? And then the guy explains, I wasn't talking to y'all. I was talking to the clerk. But they already player hating because they see what he got on. They see the things he possessed. And they already player hating. They don't know him. But their only point of familiarity is the fact that he's black. Like them. Now, he walks out. They still looking him up and down. Like they got a problem and everything. Now, a man from India comes in. He's not even on their radar. They don't even look at him. They don't even say nothing to him. When he speaks to the clerk, they're not even listening. They don't even think it's towards them. That's what kind of respect I want. The same respect you get an Indian man. Like you don't know him. Like you don't know him. That's what kind of, I'm a grown man. Nah, none of that works for me. I've realized that doesn't work for me, for you being familiar per se with me. It doesn't work for me. So I'd rather you be respectful as you are with the Indian man that you don't know. Like you're not familiar with him, like you got to get to know him like you should have to get to know me. Well, you look at the Indian man like I don't know him and I got to get to know him. I want you to look at me like you got to get to know me too. Like you don't just know who I am. And that's what I'm saying. And that it has to be done because restoration of respect has to happen. See, you're biased about it. You're biased about all of this. You're biased about all of this. So when it comes to, oh, well, that don't really got to be said and all of this. You nonchalant about all of that. And guess what? The killing keep going. All of this keep happening and everything. We have to have respect restored, and it has to happen for in a way that people have to realize you have to individualize everyone you meet, and we have to remove that familiar element. Because the familiar element is where people think they know each other. And it starts confusion. It starts a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion I've ever had with other black people is people thinking they know me already. They think they know you. So this is so the whole thing of people not having a pass to play with you because they black is all about restoring respect. Respect that needs to be restored. Because the biggest problem in the black community, one of them, besides the killing, is a lack of respect for each other. And that starts with familiarity, people thinking they know you because they black. If they treated you like the white man, when they see the white man, because who they know, if they do something to him, they get thrown under the jail. If they start treating you like that, then respect will be restored. There will be less killing. But as long as you familiar with them and you think that's getting you somewhere, it ain't getting you nowhere. Look at it for what it is. All it is getting people watching you in your path who don't know you. Right? Don't know you for who you are as an individual. And sometimes some people just sum you up because you are black. They just sum you up. Oh, okay, they think they know what you all about. I know what he about. You can't possibly know what I'm about because I'm a man of God. I'm a prophet of God. You don't know what I'm about. But because we have that place of familiarity because of ethnicity, you think you know who I am. See, that's why this is so important. Because not only do the police stereotype, black people stereotype. Oh, that's a 7 hour. Yeah. You stereotype because you look at somebody that's black and you already think you know where to go. You think you know where it's at. You think that you know who they are. You think you know what they listen to, what they know, what they watch. You think you know everything it is to know about them. In the sum of minutes. That's what goes on in this community. It's people sitting back thinking they know everybody. You know what I'm saying? Thinking you can sum somebody up. And then when you meet someone like me, and then you have your problems, and you try to hide like you never wanted smoke, try to hide like you never wanted problems and drama. And I know better than that. Now see, you can't run and you can't hide. Because now God is involved. God is involved. We don't listen. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I walk in the principles of the kingdom of God, which is this. I am not. God says He is not a respecter of persons. He doesn't respect people based off of who they are. Right? God is not a respecter of persons. Right? That's what it is. And if you are His chosen people, He will chastise you as well. There's no running from it. Because see, what I've learned is there's people that are in the black community who think that because, we're God's chosen people. God's going to always protect us. God's going to always do for us. Well, if you look in the Bible, people that are His chosen people, He will chastise. Oh, He'll chastise you. He'll even kill you. And that's what you got to realize. You done even got so familiar with God, like as if we God's chosen people, you done got familiar with God too. Well, we God's chosen people. You done got all comfortable. And look at you now, see? Now you got problems with God because you've gotten so comfortable with man and you've gotten so comfortable with God. You have disrespected man and you have disrespected God. I'm showing you the real problems in the black community because you think that there's some immunity because of your ethnicity. It's not. The only immunity you could possibly have is the fact that you would be God's chosen people, right? But even in that, there's rules and regulations. You can't just be God's people just doing any and everything. There's rules and regulations with that as well. So even the most possible immunity from judgments and things that happen to common men, even in that immunity, there's rules and regulations that you have not acknowledged, that you have not abided by. Well, you got all this killing. And see, that to me, what that means is you don't respect the fact that someone's black, do you? Because in your blackness, you overlook someone else's blackness. That's the seventh hour. In your blackness, you overlook somebody else's blackness. You just thinking about your blackness. You're not thinking about their blackness. Hear what I just said? They thinking about their own blackness. They ain't thinking about your blackness. And listen, whether we get along or not, my blackness is still in existence. You got that part? Do you understand that part? Whether you agree with me or we get along or not, whatever the case may be, my blackness is still in existence outside of your culture, outside of being in love with you, outside of us being in unison or as a unit. My blackness still is in existence, whether you validate it or not. My blackness exists whether I'm a part of the core part of your culture or not. That's how powerful African is, and you should know that. Well, my African ethnicity, my African genealogy and energy is going to exist, whether I'm in connection with you or not. Well, let's look at all of Africa. Are they in real connection with you? Are the real Africans in real connection with you? But their African vibrations still continue, don't it? You have become so arrogant in America, you think that we need your culture to be African. Well, explain why the Africans in Africa don't need your culture to be African. They don't need it. Why do I need it? Because you think I need it. You think I need it to be validated as African. See, it's a new day. It's a new day when a righteous African empire rises up and puts the wicked African empire in its proper position. We rule, we reign, we are who God is talking about. He's not talking about you. You don't represent Zion if you're not walking in righteousness. You are not Zion if you're not receiving Jesus Christ. You are not Zion if you're not filled with the Holy Ghost. We have to stop all these African paraphernalias where people get dreads and burn incense and think they're righteous. I gotta say it just like that. Because there are paraphernalias in the African American community. If you get dreads and you listen to Bob Marley and you have African shirts, oh, that's a righteous person there. That's paraphernalias. No different than people that wear hip hop clothes, but they're not thugs. You got a lot of people that wear a lot of thuggish clothes, but they're not thugs, right? We all did that as kids. You wear all different types of thuggish looking clothes, but you're not thugs, right? Same thing with African righteousness. You can have all the paraphernalias of it. You can have dreads, you can burn incense, you can have oils, you can have all of that, and you can feel that you're a part of that. But if you're not preserving African lives, you have lost your way concerning what it is to be African. See, because listen, Africa is not limited to America. In fact, the center of Africa is not here in America. This is something you need to think about. Think about what I just said. This is not the center of Africa. This country is not the center of Africa, which means what you have going on here is an extension of Africa. Your African American community culture is an extension. So it's not the root. Okay? It's not the root. It's an extension of the root. It's the limbs, some would say. You have the tree, you have the roots, and you have the limbs of the tree. This is just the limbs of the tree. And guess what? Just like with any tree, you can cut the limbs off and the root is still there. If we cut off, listen, I'm gonna say it just like I need to say it. If we cut off the African American culture here, you still have Africa. That's how you need to hear it. That's how you need to hear it, because you sit up and think that it's everything. It's everything to kids. It's everything to children. It ain't everything to me. How does that feed my African side? How does that feed my African yearnings? How does that feed me African information? I'm not even talking about no here and there. How does it feed me? It doesn't feed me, do it? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And this has to be done because people feel like if you're not a part of watching some TV shows or some hip hop stuff or some culture, that you're not African. Well, last time I checked, this is not Africa. So Africa is the root. So long as I connect to that, I'm okay. I've been around real Africans. And that's the difference between me and other people that may have not been around Africans. You may have seen them from afar, but have you had real relationships with Africans? Have you put money in the hands of real Africans? Have they done something for you? Have you done something for them? Real Africans, ones that are from Ethiopia, ones that are from the different countries in Africa. Have you had any relationships with Africans? And that's the difference between me and other people. I've had real relationships with Africans, real ones. Okay? And that's the separation. Because you can't fool me with making me feel, someone that had a real relationship with Africans, you can't fool with me with making me feel like I'm a sellout because I don't have nothing to do with foolishness. See, this is done also, listen, this is done also for white people. Because you sit back and observe, you don't know nothing about you don't really, and culturally speaking, you don't really know nothing about no real Africans. So what you do is you draw from African American culture and you sit up and you join their committee. And so they make you a part of their committee. And so you begin to think also, you know who the sellouts are, and you don't even know what it is to really be African, which is to preserve African life thoughts and all things that are African, to preserve it. All you do is go join to people that destroy it. Or they got information that destroys it. They got activity that destroys it. And you sit on that committee and think you know what it is to see a sellout. And that's where you're way out of pocket. And that's for any other ethnicity. That goes to the Hispanics and the Latinos too. You sit on the committee and think you out uprooting someone who you think is a sellout when we have an ongoing war between the wicked African empire and the righteous African empire, which you are not able to comprehend. You're not able to comprehend the war between the wicked African empire and the righteous African empire. So you need to stay out of it. Because what you're going to do is you're going to go with the popular stuff. You're going to go with the popular culture, which is, hear this part, the wicked African empire. That does not represent the righteous African empire. That does not represent African Zion. It does not represent that. And so what the wicked African empire do is it draws the white people to it. It draws the Mexicans and Hispanics and Latinos to it and say, see, look, they the sellouts. They point to the righteous African empire and say, see, look, those are the sellouts. Those are the people that don't like Africans. No, we have a problem with you here in America. We don't have a problem with Africans in Ethiopia. We don't have a problem with Africans in Egypt. We don't have a problem with Africans in Nigeria. It's you that's the problem. And see, they don't know no better. They don't know no better. They kind of can perceive what the difference and the problem, but they don't know how to articulate the wiring that I'm talking about. So guess what they do? They join your committee because you have a problem. The righteous African empire have a problem. So they join the wicked African empire, the people who seem to not have a problem. They seem to not have a problem, don't they? They seem to not have a problem, don't they? I'm going to tell you what your problem is. Your problem is you sitting back. Your problem is you sitting back with detrimental things to preserving African lives. And see what the Hispanics and Latinos gonna say. Well, we're with you. We loyal to you. What you loyal to? You don't even know what you're loyal to, do you? You're loyal to principles and customs that are detrimental to the African community. And see, the righteous African has been among it so much, unlike you and unlike white people, we've been among it so much that we know the difference between the righteous empire and the wicked empire of the African community. All you see is all of us. That's all you see. And you try to have equality and you try to do that, but it's a struggle for identity and preserving African lives that you don't know about. You don't know about it. That's why I told you to stay out of it. Because what you're going to do is you're going to join the Nike Club. Let's join the African Nike Club. They seem to be cool, and these other people seem to have a problem. So all you're a part of is the African Nike Club. You have no concepts of what we're trying to preserve and what the real purposes are. All you're trying to do is hang out with the people that smoke weed that's black. The people that listen to hip hop that's black. See, it's a deeper community that you don't know about. That's a 7 hour. Yeah, it's a deeper community than that you don't know about. Just like it's a deeper community, I'm pretty sure in your community, in the Hispanic or Latino community, I'm pretty sure there's a deeper community that I don't know about. Right? I'm pretty sure it is. Life and human beings are more complex than what you perceive on TV and what you perceive by music. It's more to each tribe than what is projected outwardly, right? And now you meet the deepest. Now you're playing around the deepest. Now you're playing around the man that's in the back of the village, the chief that's away from everybody. That's what you're playing with. And you don't know no better. You know why you don't know no better? Because you done joined the African Nike Club. They're the people that smoke weed and listen to music. How dare somebody play with them? Nah, we got to do something about that. You ain't going to do nothing about nothing because you don't know nothing about what's going on. You got the African Righteous Club. You got the African Righteous Empire, and you got the wicked African Empire. And you don't know the difference. And so, see, white man, you don't put yourself in the middle of a war and you just as dumb and stupid as you've always been, oppressing us and not knowing what's going on. You ain't no different than when you've been doing that. You are no different. And here you are in the middle of the war thinking you catching a sellout, catching an Uncle Tom. And you don't know what we stand for, to know even who's really the one that's the problem. So you got to first know what a community would stand for, which kind of comes logically, before you can say who's the problem. You can't say who's the problem if you don't know what the community stands for. And see, what we're looking at is how Africa is projected here in America. That's what we're looking at. All you care about is working Africa here in America. All you care about is enslaving Africa here in America. And we're concerned with Africa projecting a true righteous identity and preserving African lives and thought. Your white people and other races, your only concern is being cool with them. And that's why you're in the shape you're in now. That's all you concerned with, being cool with them. See, but when you are of Africa, you elevate beyond trying to be cool with them. Don't you think? Sooner or later, somebody's going to wake up and shake themselves and say, hey, it's more to this situation than just being cool or cool with Africans, because I'm African myself. And we're not cookie cutter people. That's the same thing, right? Even culturally speaking. And that's the problem. Everyone looks at American culture to identify the African. That's a 7 hour. You look at African American culture here in America. You look at that, you look at African culture here in America to identify the Africans, which is partially oppression, partly deception. Let's add all that into the cake. If African American culture was a cake, let's add in all the rest of the ingredients. Oppression, deception, being used and abused. This is part of all the African American culture. This is all a part of it. Gun violence, the drugs, everything, which is part of the white man caging everybody together and throwing it in here, throwing cocaine in here. As we established, we know cocaine doesn't come from America. So some of it is being allowed, right? But they got to play it off and get some people locked up and kind of maintain this perspective that cocaine is illegal. But explain how tons and tons is getting under people's nose, and it always has been. Right? Because it's a system that enslaves the Africans. They couldn't enslave you anymore like they once did, so they had to use a cocaine system. Cocaine is a system of enslavement. That's what it is. And look at it for what it is. What color is it? White. It's white. And it is a system of enslavement. When it has been brought here and allowed here, that's when it became a system of enslavement. It's one thing for it to be snuck in illegally. It's one thing for authorities to turn their head. When they start turning their head, it's here as a form of enslavement. It's a system of enslavement. This is part of the African American community. So you have to, when you add in the culture, when you talk about the culture, you have to add in the system of cocaine as an enslaver. That's part of it, right? And then you add oppression, self-hate, black on black crime. All of this is part of the culture. It's in the music. Black on black crime is in the music. Last time I checked, black on black crime is in the music. These are all the things that you have to add. These are all the things that you white Americans and you Hispanics and Latinos, this is what you defend. This is all that you defend. Black on black crime in the music. Yeah, you bobbing your head to black on black crime and don't know any better. That's why I'm saying there's more to our community than hip hop. There's more to the Africans than jumping around and dancing around. Making cool movies for you to watch. Okay? And that's why and now you see why you're in trouble. Because you've been defending dynamics that don't even define us. You've been defending culture and perspectives that is detrimental to our existence. And that's where you at. You can't come over here talking about, well, we didn't know. Well, how you didn't know? You got a brain? You see none of that represents true preservation of a community? You see that doesn't help a community? But that's what you defend. That's the likes of what you defend. And you can't switch sides. You know what I'm saying? You listen, you're going to go with what is projected to you. And what's projected to you in this community in America is all of the stuff that I just named. All the things that's detrimental to black identity, to African identity here. Okay? You can't leave it out when you talk about African American culture. You can't leave it out. And that's why it's the worst thing to piss off somebody who knows you the best. For black people to piss off somebody that's black is the worst thing you can do. Because I know you better than anybody know you. I know all your secrets. I know all your weaknesses. You don't go head to head with your family. You don't go head to head with somebody who know you the best. That's a suicide. I know you better than anybody know you. I know all your secrets. I know all your flaws. You don't piss off somebody who knows you the best. That's pretty stupid. And I know you thought you could get away with it. You thought I'd be dead by now. And here I am. I'm still here. I'm still here in my right mind. I'm still here, sound of mind, Sound of heart and soul. Not taking no mess off of nobody though. I ain't taking no mess off of nobody though. And you can think what you want to think, but I kick these facts, don't I? You could say whatever you want to say. You could say cornball, sell out. You come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me your worst shots. And at the end of the day, when the smoke clear, I'll still be right here. Still talking the same facts that I've been talking. And you another community, whether you like it or not, see the African American community, you want to step back and say, well, we ain't had nothing to do with that child marriage. You sure you think you're totally not liable? See, I cleared you of having passed the laws. We know white Americans passed the laws, right? I cleared you of having part in the process, the legal process, the legalities of the process. I cleared you of that, right? But here's the other part. You sat back ignorant the whole time, not knowing, and you've been sitting around talking about you protect children, but you talking about you educated, but you didn't know anything about this. Your whole culture didn't know about it. Every culture here in America is liable for not knowing about something so huge in our community of 44 states with child marriage. You cannot sit up as the African American community and act like, well, we ain't had nothing to do with that. But you're here though. Same thing with the Mexicans. The Mexicans can say that too. Think about what I just said. The Mexicans can say, well, we ain't got nothing to do with that. But you're here. You've been here long enough to be educated. So that's the liability. You get liabilities when you're ignorant. Liabilities cause destruction. What does the Bible say? God's people are destroyed from what? A lack of knowledge. You're destroyed because of what you don't know. You don't think it apply here? Where they've been marrying your children and you've been dancing and drinking and smoking to the point where you don't even know that's going on. See, the party has to stop at some point, man. The party has to stop or it doesn't make sense. If the party never stops, how does it make sense? Make sense? It's not even, it has to be redefined as something else. Because it's continually going on and on and on. Y'all got to do a video on this too. It's continually going on and on and on and there's no stop to it. That's not a party. A party eventually has to stop. And you hold it in nostalgia and you hold it in memory. It obtains a state of nostalgia after it stops. Right? You think about it. You think about what happened at the party. It can't go on and on and on. And see, what happens is that here in American culture, people have a non-stop party that never stops. And now it has to be redefined. It has to be redefined as something else. If you smoking and drinking weed and smoking, if you drinking and smoking every day, that's not a party. Now you see where I'm going with this. It's a system to keep you blind and off your toes. If you smoking weed and drinking every day, that's not a party. A party is an event where you may partake of things that intoxicate you, right? And then it stops. Now listen to what I'm saying. I'm not using any Jedi mind tricks. Listen to what I'm saying. The party eventually stops. It's an event for whoever, or birthdays or holidays or whatever. It eventually stops, right? And then you hold it in memory. Well, what do you call this when you're getting high and drinking every day? What is that? What is that defined as? A party? That ain't a party. A party has to stop. And see, I stopped partying and I started to educate myself. And then I found out through Christ Jesus that you got 44 states with child marriage right here in America. But see, you can't get none of this. You can't get educated when you partying all the time. or where you think you partying all the time. It's something else. It's something. It's another definition for it, and I'm gonna do studies and research on it because you can't say it's a party if you're doing it every day. That's not a party. That's a different type of culture and custom that we as Americans have gotten used to, of getting high and drinking every day. That's not a party. That's something else. And this something else or a system is responsible for the foolishness that people are in because they're constantly in an intoxicated state that they call a party. That's not a party, buddy. You ain't even blowing up balloons. You ain't doing nothing. You ain't got no food, no cakes, and everything. You just getting high. How's that a party? That part, that's the 7th hour. How's that a party? That's not a party. You just getting high. Calling it a party. See, this is what I'm showing you, man. This is what I'm showing you. This is the part of the community. This is the part of the culture that has kept you back from learning and educating yourself. You should think it's cool to educate yourself, but in American culture, you're taught that it's not cool to educate yourself. And see, now you're in a situation where you got a big liability that you can't get past, and now you're liable because you didn't educate yourself. You can't sit back and say, well, that was just the government. So you're going to blame the government for why you were sitting here and it was going on and you part of voting for them and voting them in office. They didn't get themselves in there. You put them in there. You're going to give them all the power in this situation. You're going to give them all the liability in this situation. When you're responsible for educating yourself. So if your children start dying, let's just say your children start dying, you're going to say, and the government was responsible for some type of law that they passed that in some way made your child die. You're going to blame the government for that or your ignorance. And you don't think that ignorance deserves a consequence. If the children are dying, let's just say in another analogy, the children are dying, right? In another analogy, the children are dying. The reason why they're dying is because some law was passed, right? That allows the government to kill the children, right? Of various ages, right? And you find out years later, this is why the children been dying. You didn't know why. You don't think you're liable for being that ignorant and uneducated? You just gonna blame the government for doing what they do and say, well, we didn't know. Now you see what I'm saying? Well, we didn't know. We ain't had nothing to do with that. But it's serious as the kids dying. And you're gonna sit back and act like, oh, it's just all the government. You're not gonna put no blame on you for being that ignorant of having 44 states with child marriage in your country. You're gonna let them take the whole blame, and nobody else is liable. When you've been that ignorant and uneducated, the whole culture. See, some of us have to study. Some of us have to learn. That's why you cannot judge a man that has given his life to studies and education. Okay, some of us get out here and work. Some of us educate ourselves and we educate the community. But among the educated, among those who do educate the community, they did not educate you even. They didn't even educate you on 44 states for child marriage, did they? Listen, man, look at it for what it is. All these people that go to law school, hear this part. All these people that go to law school, all these people that are lawyers, none of them told you about this. Not in the full capacity and collectively speaking. They did not tell you about the collective 44 states of child marriage here in America. All these people going to school for law. Let's slow it down a little bit. Let's look at all the people that went to school for law, right? All these lawyers, all these attorneys, all these people all these judges. Look at all these judges. There's some good judges out there, but let's look at all these judges. All these judges that went to school to be judges. Now you see what I'm saying. In all these different counties, all these lawyers and all these judges, all these different counties throughout America, all these different cities throughout America, all these different schools throughout America, and no one emerged out of those schoolings and teachings and education to tell you that you have child marriage in America. Now that's spooky. That's real spooky. That's real spooky, man. Your whole culture you have a whole culture of Americans that go to school for law. They go to school to be attorneys. They go to school to be judges. They go to school to be in the law system in some form or fashion. And I'm pretty sure in their modern day books, the laws for child marriage is in there. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure in some of those books, there are child marriage laws. It has to be. I'm pretty sure there are in those books, the age of consent under 18 and 40 states is in there. It's in there. And no one says nothing. No one comes, no leader, no person, no lawyer, no judge comes out of your community and tell you in a simple fashion like I did that 44 states in America has child marriage. No one emerged to tell you that. Out of all these universities, that's what I'm trying to show you. People that are educated to do so, to inform your community. They're educated to inform your community of the laws, right? They enforce the laws. They advocate for the laws. Yet none of those universities and none of these colleges, kids are in college right now, and I bet you none of them are going to emerge telling you about 44 states with child marriage. Now you see what I'm saying. And you don't think that's a liability. You don't think that's a liability. All these people going to college for law now, for law, that's their field. So a whole field here in America is undereducated on this. You don't think that's a liability? It's too extreme not to be a liability. It's going to create a liability. And it has already. It's too extreme not to create a liability. It's too extreme. I could see if it was an ongoing struggle, right? Between those who know and those who don't know. There's no struggle. You have people that talk about it here and there, but you've never seen someone just straight out tell you simply, it's 44 states with child marriage. And if they did, they just made a little article and went about their business. You ever wonder why Child Protective Services never advocated concerning this? They advocate concerning the protection of children. How come CPS ain't never said nothing about 44 states with child marriage? That's a 7 hour. Did you ever see CPS talk about 44 states with child marriage? I got them beat too. Hey, that's their job. Literally. But we don't see CPS, Child Protective Services. We don't see CPS talking nothing about this, do we? Okay? That's what I'm trying to show you. You see Joe Biden talking about it? Do you see President Joe Biden talking about child marriage in your country? Do you see Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, talking about this in your country? You don't see it, do you? And in fact, she was a prosecutor. So she was in law. She went to school for law. You see her talking about it? You don't, do you? That's what I'm saying. And you don't think that's a liability for somebody to go to college, become a prosecutor, become the vice president of your country, and virtually say nothing about 44 states with child marriage in your country. You would think if she was a prosecutor and she actually verbalized that she prosecuted child sexual assault cases, you would think she had a passion. She would have that same passion and vibration in the White House, wouldn't you? Have you heard her say anything about it? You ain't heard her say nothing about it, right? And she was prosecuting child sexual assault cases. But when she comes to the White House, she says nothing about about 44 states with child marriage. She ain't say nothing about it, did she? I'm trying to show you why all of you are liable, because it's so extreme. As far as the ignorance, it's got to be a liability in some form or fashion. And unfortunately, see, the liability did not only come because you're ignorant and uneducated. It came because you projected yourselves as child protectors, and that was not what you was. And you went out and accused innocent people and played around innocent people, uneducated and ignorant to the nature of your own country. And that's why you really have a liability that you can't get rid of, because you went around with all your ignorance and all of your not being educated. You ran around the country playing around other people, thinking just like everybody did here, thinking that you were a country that protected children, and you just went off the strength of what was projected to you, but it was no reality. You just went by the commercials of people playing with their children, hugging their children on the commercials, right? You just went by all these projected images of Americans protecting children, but you were ignorant to the real reality, which is 44 states with child marriage. So when you ran out thinking you were protecting children, and you were harassing innocent people, suspecting that they were pedophiles, that caused a liability because you was ignorant of your own country's nature of 44 states with child marriage. That's where your ignorance led you to. Your ignorance led you to go out and play with innocent people, ignorant to your own country passing child marriage laws. And that's the liability. It's not just because you don't know this, it's because of what you did when you didn't know this. It's because of what you did while you didn't know this, which creates the real fatal cocktail. Well, if you're running around like John Wayne, like some cowboy for children, and you harass, you're found out to have harassed innocent people, right? That's one part of the equation. You harassed innocent people thinking you're some protectors for children, right? That's one part of the equation. The other part of the equation is that's not your reality as a community in an American law system. The American law system allows child marriage right here in America. You put those two things together. You harassed innocent people, plus your country is the one that's actually harassing children, equals a fatal cocktail to your American system. It's a fatal cocktail to your American system, law system. It's a fatal cocktail to your American government. And if you don't listen, I'm going to keep going over this over and over, but you need to hear it today. Because you think that, oh, well, we just didn't know. Nah, it ain't just that. That ain't why you got the problem. You can't be slow following me. I always tell y'all that. You can't be slow. The reason why you got the problem is because you went out like John Wayne playing with innocent people. You see now, You see that part? You can't leave that part out, buddy. I know you want to. I know so bad you want to leave that part out, but you can't, buddy. God is not going to let you leave it out. You went out and harassed innocent people. You played a game like as if you were innocent people yourselves. Like you was pure towards children as a community. That's part of the equation of why you have liabilities. You cannot project yourself like that, and that's not you. You can't project yourself like that, and then you go out and we find out that we find out that you got 44 states with child marriage. You can't project yourself like child protectors, and we find out y'all child molesters. And that's where you have the liability. Because you projected yourselves as child protectors. But in actuality, because of 44 states with child marriage, you are child molesters. So you don't think that creates a liability when you projected yourselves as child protectors, harassing people all around the country, and then we find out that you're actually child molesters? You don't think that's a cocktail for for liabilities? When in actuality you went about like as if the American community was child protectors. That's not the case. You want me to tell you why it's not the case? Because you got 44 states with child marriage. With 44 states of child marriage, you cannot sit up and act like the case is y'all child protectors and love the children. I'm sorry, that's not your image. That's not your image. That's not your reality. And I don't care how well-meaning you are individually. I don't care about your individuality. Let's understand that. I don't care about your individuality, because that's the first thing you want to do is get up and show your individuality. Unfortunately, we're all talking collective. This is all collective talkings here. We're talking collectively speaking in all these situations. You collectively went out as a community playing with innocent people. You collectively went all across the country. I don't care who it was and who and what group they're part of. You collectively went out as a community playing with people concerning child molestation and child abuse and all of that, and projecting and lying to people and speaking to the community about child molesters, lying and making up lies, right? That right there was a collective effort. So I can't, for someone to stand up individually means nothing. I don't care who you are individually, whether you be FBI, whether you be police, whether you be military, whether you be in the government. Your individuality does not matter because of the collective effort of your American community going about using child molesting operations to entrap people as child molesters. They use all type of child operations using children to ensnare people or to make people or to incriminate people as child molesters just by their interaction with children. So they would bring children in McDonald's to interact with whoever they thought was child molesters. They would bring children into department stores and set up military style operations. Hear this part. They would set up military style operations in department stores like Walmart, restaurants, all these different places, grocery stores, and they collectively joined together and started and used children as weapons against innocent people, trying to see if they could get a thread of body language or something that would incriminate people, even body language. That's what they were looking for. Even body language more than anything. Thoughts, because they have all types of ways to penetrate the mind. But let's just keep it to what we do know for sure. Your American community collectively went into the community using children against certain individuals in the community and they use children in operations as if to say these are child molesters. And because they did that and they didn't think we knew about it. See, I got the Holy Ghost for real. I knew all about that. I knew all about that. And guess where the fatal cocktail is? Here's where it gets funny. Here's where I get the last laugh. Here's where we get the last laugh. You got 44 states with child marriage, buddy. You got 44 states with child marriage. While you've been running around doing all of that. Here's the thing. The black community you are liable to. You've been using your black community, your black children to do the same thing that the American community has been doing as well. You're a part of that too, buddy. You're a part of that too. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you that you're a part of that liability. Yes, you are. We seen you too. We seen you use your children too. You use your children in public places trying to ensnare somebody in an incriminating body language or energy to say these are child molesters. You try to incriminate people as child molesters by using children as weapons in public places. We know all about it. And here's where it's a fatal cocktail in your situation. Here's where it's a fatal cocktail. Because you got 44 states with child marriage. They're actually having sex with children as we speak. And somebody is. I'm pretty sure somebody is. I'm pretty sure with all these child molesters, somebody's molested. Somebody's having sex with somebody's married to a child. And ain't no way in hell you gonna get out of it. You know why? Because I'm connected to God for real. And everything that I'm talking about, God is very clearly aware of. And so you lose. And so you lose. It's been over. It's been over. It's been over when we find out you're the ones doing it. It's been over when we find out you got child marriage in America. It's been over when we find out that you got the age of consent under 18 in 40 states. It's been over when New York has the age of consent at 17. It's been over when we find out the military has the age of consent at 16, which means all people in the military, all of them that enlist in the military can have sex with 16-year-old girls or boys. That's when it's been over. That's right now, a matter of fact. For people that think it's old laws, that's present right now through the UCMJ program in the American community, in the American military. It's called the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice. Yeah, I'm educated. See, what people don't understand, what these dumb Americans don't understand is education goes beyond books and mathematics and science. You can educate yourself on anything. You can educate yourself on Black history. You can educate yourself on your family. You can educate yourself on males and females. You can educate yourself on everything, sex. You can educate yourself on marijuana. You can educate yourself on the effects of marijuana. You can educate yourself on alcohol and the effects of alcohol, cigarettes and the effect of cigarettes. You can educate yourself on clothing lines. You can educate yourself on how to build a clothing line. Education means to Americans mathematics and science and social studies. That's why they remain so damn stupid. Because soon as somebody say education, you cringe thinking you got to figure out a mathematic problem. So you never educated yourself on anything. That's why many of you are in poverty, because you never educated yourself on how to start a business. Oh, I'm telling the truth. That's why you're in poverty, because you didn't educate yourself. Many of you did not educate yourself on how to start businesses. Because every time you heard the word education, you thought mathematics. You thought social studies and science. So in all actuality, no, you stayed elementary in your thinking when it came to education. And so I became educated on your American government. I became educated on how they interact with children. And I found out that they have 44 states with child marriage. The military has the age of consent is 16, which means they're having sex with child vagina, child penis. That's what they having sex with. And it ain't no way you can justify, ain't no way you can talk about it in a context that makes sense. It's no way in the world you can sit up and fool me. See, this is the information that America wasn't expecting to come out. This is the information that no one seen coming. This is the information you've been waiting for your whole life. You knew that America wasn't doing something right. You just didn't know how it's going to come out and manifest. You didn't know what it was going to be. This is the information. Yeah, when I'm telling you your military is doing it, your military has the age of consent at 16. Can we all agree that a 16-year-old has the anatomy of a child? A 16-year-old does not have a woman vagina, right? There's no 16-year-olds with women vagina, right? So a 16-year-old has an undeveloped vagina. You know that, right? So at 16, the vagina is totally developed. Go Google it. Go Google it. The vagina in the body and anatomy is not totally developed at 16 years old. Her breast ain't even fully developed. That part. You can't be serious. And yet, the UCMJ in the military, they allow people to have sex with undeveloped breast and undeveloped vagina right now in 2023. See, I rule whether you recognize it or want to recognize it or not. I'm not playing no games, man. I rule over millions. You understand that? I rule over millions of you because of your uneducated, ignorant perspective of America. You don't even have the right to even stand near me. You're too uneducated to even stand near me, and it makes sense. Why are you here? You're uneducated. Why are you here? The only reason you could be here is to be educated, which means you're a student to me. You are not my masters. Man, you can't be serious, man. It's one thing to be educated on how to build a plane. It's one thing to be educated on 44 states with child marriage. I'm never going to need plane information. I'm never going to need the education about how to build a plane, am I? I'm not going to need that in my lifetime. Probably not, right? Probably not. But I will need 44 states child marriage information because most people build families. Most people don't build planes, they build families. So just in case people say, well, everybody knows something that we don't know. Well, nah, in this case, this is a whole different dynamic. This is a unique dynamic when you all need to know what the laws are concerning your family and what they do with your children. You can't use that approach, man. Like, well, everyone knows something. We teach one, each one teach one. Nah, that ain't what this situation is, buddy. When you got a whole law universities, you got whole law universities all around the country that is not educating their American students on 44 states with child marriage. Nah, you got to keep that. You got to keep that little thing. You got to tuck that, buddy. You got to tuck that little cliche in your pocket, buddy. It's not going to hold up. It's not. Don't you see that? When you talk about something as serious as child marriage, you want to talk about each one teach one. That ain't what that is, bro. Nah, you supposed to know this culturally by now. Yeah, you supposed to know this. This ain't no little boat information where we learn how to build boats. This is talking about your family, which should have been culturally understood by now. We should have culturally been informed of this by now. Right or wrong? You're educated on everything else. So where's the teach one, each one dynamic in that? When people are educated on everything else, how the black man's been in America, how the white man's been here in America, you educated on all of that, right? No, you ain't got to wait for somebody to teach you that, do you? All you educated people, how long did you have to wait on people to teach you about American history? How long did you have to wait for people to teach you on American history? You educated yourself, didn't you? My case closed. You did not educate yourselves on 44 states with child marriage, and there's no excuse for the educated to sit up and make some excuse talking about each one teach one. Well, I didn't have to teach you to be educated, did I? So how come you couldn't educate yourself on this if I didn't have to overall educate you? If I didn't have to overall educate you, why are you waiting for me to educate you on this? Make it make sense. Yeah. Ain't no Jedi mind trick you can use on me. You can't use no Jedi mind tricks on me, buddy. You educate yourself fully, right or wrong. You're responsible for educating yourself, right? Right or wrong. So why all these educated people don't know nothing? You was waiting for me? You was waiting for me? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. And you can't sit up and talk about, well, we all don't know something. Well, how come you educated yourself? What was the purpose of educating yourself then? To be informed of your culture, your country, and the world at large. That's the whole purpose. Well, how come you educated on Africa, you educated on Europe, but you don't know nothing about American laws? Come on now, make it make sense. There's no excuse for it. That's all I'm trying to get you to see. I'm trying to get you to be clear of your excuses so we can finish this. Because the long as you act like they got excuses, as long as they gonna act like they got excuses. As long as you think there is excuses, these American people are going to act like there's excuses. There is no excuse. There is none. When people come and go from law school, done came and went, done did 4 years in law school, done came to a university, left a university, and still uneducated on 44 states with child marriage. Still uneducated. Done came and went. Done met friends, everything. Done found the love of their life. Done found the love of their life. 2 lawyers getting married. All that good stuff. And still uneducated. While they about to build a family on 44 states with child marriage. That's a 7-hour. Playing no games. Ain't no excuse. Yeah, you thought, it's done turned up. You thought I was playing. You thought I was playing. I guess you look at me like I'm the revolutionary Eminem. You thought I was playing in the beginning. Now it's all getting serious. You thought I was playing in the beginning. Now it's all getting serious. It's all getting serious when you realize it's real, don't you? Ain't it? Ain't it all getting serious? Isn't it all getting serious now that you realize it's all real, right? Ain't no excuses. Ain't nobody trying to hear no excuses. When you got the military, the American military, that's supposed to be a beacon of truth and morality. The American military supposed to be the ones that lead us into morality, not just lead us into war. Hear this part. They're supposed to lead us into integrity and character, right? That's what they're supposed to teach, right? So how come Florida, the state of Florida has the age of consent at 18, but the military that's supposed to lead us by an example of integrity and character has the age of consent at 16? So Florida is doing a better job than the military, and some would say New York is doing a better job because the age of consent is here at 17. So Florida is doing a better job than the American military as far as the age of consent, and New York is doing a better job concerning the age of consent than the military is. Well, the American military has the age of consent at 16. New York has it at 17. Make it make sense. When you do something, make it make sense. They supposed to be leading us by example. Where's the example in that? Of you talking about protecting our children, the troops we out here fight for our children. I'm pretty sure they got that in their slogan somewhere. I'm pretty sure most military personnel feel that they're out there protecting the community, right? That would include 16-year-old girls, wouldn't it? That would include these teenagers, right? So explain to me why the American military is having sex with 16-year-old girls while they out here acting like they protecting your children. That's the images you project. And you telling me I'm one of these common folks? You telling me I'm a common folk? You telling me I'm an everyday person because I don't have a job? This is my job. Well, while you working, you don't know about 44 states for child marriage. That's a 7th hour. While you holding down a job, they got 44 states for child marriage. Somebody got to do it. That's why you can't judge the man that his job is to study in wisdoms and informations. Yeah, you sitting up judging me like I'm a man child. I'm doing something. You ain't doing. I can say you ain't doing nothing. You can say I'm not doing nothing. I can say you're not doing nothing. See, that's the power of the man that walks in informations and studies and works in his labor is in wisdom and informations. He can say y'all ain't doing nothing. He can say it just as easy as you saying it to me. I can say it just as easy as you saying it, you thinking it about me. I can sit up and say you ain't doing nothing. Because at the end of the day, you working 9 to 5s while they got 44 states for child marriage. Boom. Which a man like me would feel that you ain't doing nothing. In fact, you're working for people that's pedophiles, which is in vain. It's in vain if you serve the Lord. You serving this American government and you a Christian, they got 44 states for child marriage. It's in vain if you're serving the Lord. And then Kanye West is up there trying to hanging around Donald Trump. And they got 44 states for child marriage. That's a 7th hour. That's what I'm saying. This separates the men from the boys and the girls from the women. All these people sitting up talking about this, that, and the third, and now what you got to say? What you going to say now? It's no excuse for it. That's why I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for for it to dawn on you. I'm waiting for it to dawn on you that there's no excuse. I'm waiting for it to dawn on you that you're all liable and don't know about it. I'm waiting for it to dawn on you that there's no reason for this to go on anymore. I'm waiting for it to dawn on you. But all I'm asking, meanwhile, now that you see who I am, I don't need black people to tell me, to give me a pass. You don't have a pass for playing with me as well. That's what I really want to say. You don't have a pass as being, because you're black, to play with me. Don't you see that now? Based on what I'm talking about. So you think because you black, you can play with me? Now, based on what I'm doing, based on what I'm actually doing and talking about, right? Now, don't you feel that just because you black, it don't mean nothing to play? You can't play with me. You think that means something for you to play with this? So that's arrogance. You think black can play with this? You think any ethnicity can play with this kind of serious situation? That's what I'm trying to say. Do you think that any ethnicity can play with this type of situation? That's why you got to humble yourself and sit down somewhere. Because it ain't about you this time. As soon as something big start happening, black people think it's about them. You're becoming very narcissistic, you know. Just as narcissistic as the white man. I got to do a video about that. You say arrogance, you say cockiness. I say you're becoming just as narcissistic as the American slave master. You're killing each other. You look down on each other. You're watching over each other for the white man. You're making it easier for him to get a hold of us because you're pulling us in all type of drama. Some will say some of y'all are hounds for the white man. Well, you're pulling me into drama. Now I'm locked. Now people get locked up and now I'm enslaved. Based courtesy of the African American community.
Well, if you got drama with other people, the white man gonna get you in the end. Right or wrong? And who starts it? So it's supposed to be somebody who say they're your brother. So some would say they're those type of individuals that pull you into beefs and dramas or hounds for white supremacy. They are hounds for white supremacy. They do what the white man can't do. That's the 7th hour. They come do what the white man can't do. They come pull you out, pull you into drama, and get you locked up. Boom. White man can't come pull you out and pull you into drama and get you locked up, can he? So what they do, they use black people to do it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you right now, man. You know what I'm saying? Wake yourself up, man. Wake up. Because we're in a time right now when you know ain't no love between the people. I don't care. It ain't no love. So stop all that synthetic, fake stuff that is not real in our reality. You know what's real? People killing each other. Black people killing each other in present day America. That's what's real. That's what's real. Black kids being killed. They didn't even get a chance to live their lives. That's what's real. All this fake synthetic love and expecting people to walk around like that. It ain't, for the most part, nobody's doing that. So why is you holding me to a standard that nobody is doing? Ain't nobody doing it. Who's doing it? When they killing the kids. That's what I'm saying. So you're holding me to a double standard, some would say. You can call me whoever you want to call me. I am not going to allow you to hold me to a double standard. Period. I will walk on my own standard of righteousness without your help, without your training wheels. I don't need your training wheels to walk in righteousness. I don't need your training wheels to walk in purity. I don't need your training wheels to be a good man. You can take your training wheels and you can kick rocks. Go handle your house and clean your house up and get your house in order. I am a spiritual person. And see, the Bible says the spiritual judge all things, yet he is judged of no man. You know why? You know why it says that? Not because the spiritual man is perfect, but because he has perfect discernment given by the Holy Ghost. He has perfect, accurate perception given by the Holy Ghost. That's why he has the right to judge things. So you look at it as pointing a finger when I say judge. I'm talking about properly able to perceive it the right way and judge it and say, yeah, it's that, it's not this, it's that. That kind of judgment, that definition of judgment. He has the right to say, yeah, it's not, it's this, it's that, because he's spiritual and he's able to see it for what it is. And yet he's judged of no man because he's in Christ. So for those who say judge not lest you be judged first, see, you got American cliche Christianity. You want me to show you another scripture for you non-Christians that don't know no better? It says the spiritual shall judge all things. That means that what's going on in the black community, the white community, the Hispanic and Latino community. It says the spiritual judge all things. Go look in the Bible. Why you talking about, well, judge not, let's be judged first. You don't even know the word of God. Stop playing. Stop playing. The Bible says clearly, the spiritual shall judge, yet he is judged of no man. That's why you can't know little scriptures. You got to know the whole word of God. You got to know it all, man. You got to know the whole word of God. You got to know all of it. You can't be sitting up here talking about, well, judge not, let you be judged first. So who's supposed to make sense of all of this? Oh, you do? And so nobody else supposed to make sense of it? Nobody else supposed to say this is right and that's wrong. Nobody else supposed to do that. That's nobody's position. So how are we going to have order without chaos? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. How are we going to have order without chaos if no one says this is right and this is wrong? How are we going to have any type of order in our community? And who is able to say it properly? The spiritual person. Because they're able to see it properly for what it is, being led by God to see it properly for what it is. Ain't nobody out here smoking crack able to see this. Ain't nobody out here on LSD able to see this properly. So it takes a spiritual man who has dedicated himself to God to be able to see things properly, because the rest of everybody else is getting high and doing everything they want to do. So how can you see it properly? You ain't got no relationship with God. You're getting high all the time. How you going to see things properly? So who's supposed to do it? You should be grateful somebody done it. You should be grateful. I'm telling you about this 44 states with child marriage. You should be glad somebody picked this out. But yet here you are, thinking about other stuff just like an ignorant American would do. Yeah, that shows you their character. See what I'm saying? Look at their character. You should be glad somebody's showing you this. But you ungrateful bastards still sit up and try to look and find fault in me. You ungrateful bastards. You should be glad I found this out. You wouldn't have never found it out. When you would have found this out? When will you have found this out? Huh? 2033? 10 years from now? When the world is going crazy? Okay, so if we waited on you, nothing would have got done, basically. That's what I'm saying. You should count your lucky stars somebody like me is here. That's why, listen, I'm not going to be moved, buddy. You know who's going to be moved? All of these people that ain't doing nothing. That's why you should beware. You should be afraid to be a person that does nothing, because your existence means nothing. You should be afraid to be a person that does nothing, because your existence means nothing. Why would God defend you? Huh? Why would God protect you? Why would God do anything to make sure you continue on when your existence means nothing? Woe to the man whose existence means nothing. That's for 2023. That's the quote. That's one of the quotes for 2023. Woe to the man whose existence means nothing. Yeah, it ain't God's fault. It's your fault. You didn't educate yourselves, and then you sit back and act like that's cool. It's cool to be uneducated. You took that high school mentality all throughout your years, and you're not educating yourself. You can at least educate yourself on warfare. Study the art of war. Study the strategies of war, 33 strategies of war. Start studying this warfare. I got to treat you like a little kid, and I got to find something exciting for you to study. See, I'm a real master, man. I'm telling you. I got to treat you like a little kid and find something exciting for you to study, because you don't like to study nothing boring. Well, anytime I educate myself, it's exciting. It's exciting to me to be informed of something I didn't know. But we got to find you something exciting to study, so that you create a healthy hunger for information. So we'll start you out on the art of war. Won't you go start studying the art of war and the 33 strategies of war? Won't you go start studying that? I'm serious. It's on YouTube. It takes no effort to go and put it on. It doesn't take a million years to listen to it. The art of war takes a matter of an hour out of your day for life-changing information from one of the greatest war strategists in the entire world in history. Sun Tzu was one of the most powerful war strategists that has ever been, right? You can study and then and get information and study it over and over again and learn how to defeat your enemies. See, I'm not no uneducated person. Now you see that. Now you see that. When I study the art of war, you think I'm playing? You think I'm playing? When I study 33 strategies of war, yeah, I'm all good, buddy. Ain't nothing retarded